What's up, everybody?
Hey, hey, hey.
And our special guest, where is he tonight? There he is. Hello,
There
Hello,
he
hello.
Tom.
is.
Hey, how are you?
Oh, just fine. I'm so happy to have you on tonight, especially since now we can really get down into our Raider history thing, right?
Good, good. It's good to be on, and I've got some stuff.
I know you do, and I wanted to kick it right off. I gave the captain and Heidi some homework, but I didn't give it to you, Tom. I wanted to
Okay.
spring it on you.
All right. Well, spring it on me.
I want to go first before we start talking about Denver. I want to go first to your mid-season MVP.
I'll just tell you right off. It's Max Crosby.
Why?
The
Why Max?
hands down, this is a guy who, since he came in 2019, has given everything. He's given everything, every play. When he first came in as a rookie, remember during the training camp, he broke his hand. But rather than trying to miss any time, they said, just wrap it up and I'll continue to go. He has been a beacon
Club.
of light for this team. He sets the bar very high. And I think that if players just follow that lead and continue with that energy, that they can bring, it's going to make good things happen for the defense. We may have right now Max Crosby and Nate Hobbs and Denzel Perryman and a bunch of other guys who just don't have enough talent.
Heidi, your MVP mid-season over the first 9 games.
Now, this is a tough one.
I know. I know who
Max
mine is.
Max might have been the MVP, but T3 already stole him. And
You
rather
can
than
agree
go
with
with,
me.
I,
I do agree with you. But rather than going with Devonte Adams, which is an obvious one,
mm-hmm.
I want to spring a surprise one on everyone. Denzel Perryman.
Ah, give me, give me Denzel. Give me your reasons for Denzel.
He is
Well, I
the
love his
spark.
movies.
He is the
Sorry.
spark plug to the defense.
Yes, he is.
Max is the leader, but when Denzel's in there, there's something special.
And I will say to agree with Heidi, I think we mentioned this on the other podcast. When Perriman was out, you noticed a big drop off in the defensive performance. When he was
Did
back
did we
against Denver,
lose?
Yeah,
we
y'all don't
did.
want to. Y'all don't want to really. Y'all don't want to hear my comeback to both of those. But Captain, I want to go back. Go to
No,
you
no, no,
on
no,
for
no.
your mid-season.
I jumped on T3 for an obvious joke. So I go
but
back to your finish your comment, partner. I just had to
I
because it was
just,
No,
so
no,
I
obvious.
did
Captain,
want to go
Captain,
back.
you're right. Captain, you're right. That is one of 7 games that we lost.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's true. And if the Raider defense was hugging anywhere near top 15, anywhere near bottom five in any of the indicators, despite Denzel, despite Max, then I would say, hallelujah, okay, these guys are making a difference. But they're not. And that goes to overall. I mean, we have more things to plug into this. But Captain, I want to hear your MVP choice.
Well, I like the defensive stalwarts mentioned,
Hi, Bishop.
but I'm going to I'm going to say what Jay said because Jay is Jay and Jay is Jay Captain. So Jay and Jay have the same thing, but Mad Max has been mentioned. But I would say Josh Jacobs because anytime we won was when
Mm-hmm.
Josh Jacobs was running the damn ball.
Hard to
Right.
And
argue with that. Hard
anytime
to
we
Yeah.
argue with that.
lost, Josh
Just like
Jacobs
Denzel.
was still running the damn ball. So I would say that obviously you have to score points to win. I know that you need a defense, but due to the fact that our defense is horrible, aside from one or two people, and I hopefully we will work on that. I'm going to say Josh Jacobs, but I also will say, and I'm going to wait until you give me the MVP of the Denver game, and I'm going to spring that one on you as well. But overall mid-season, Josh Jacobs.
And my
I had to go with a surprise.
No, but Denzel was a great choice, but mine is going to be Dan Carlson. I mean, I can't think of a guy that has actually won the 3 little games that we have won or kept us in a lot of games but him. All of our failed red zone trips end up with a sure enough field goal. Now, surprisingly, Sunday, he ended his little streak, right? He missed a field goal then, but
And
overall,
how close, Peggy, how close was he? Because, again, I was at the game. I knew he was close to tying it. He was like 1 or 2 short.
Yeah,
Three short.
Three short.
3 short.
But overall, if you want to talk about a guy that's just been indispensable to this team, it'd have to be Dan. I almost want to say Mr. Automatic until Sunday. Now we're going to have to go right on, Heidi, talk about our MVP for Sunday.
Oh, that one's easy. That one's Max. Because the play of the Broncos was, well, they were the Broncos, but the play of the defense for the Raiders was elevated above what they normally are.
No question about it.
And they were elevated because of Max Crosby. Now, like I said, Denzel's the spark plug, but Max is the leader.
And he's got a lot of great movies, Denzel.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go right to you, Captain.
No. I want to hear from T3 first, and then I'll go.
I got to do it that order. Okay, T3, I want to hear Sunday's game.
I'm going to give you
go
all
right into the game.
I'm going to give you all a surprise. You ready for a surprise?
It better not be mine, or I'm going to kick your ass, or I'll kick you right off the show.
My
Get out of
MVP,
my mind.
my MVP for this past Sunday was a guy who just recently arrived from the team, came onto the defensive line, made an instant impact, was filling up the line, eating up double teams, and freeing up Max Crosby to do what he does. This is something that the defense have missing for a long time. Jerry Tillery was my MVP for this past Sunday.
Yeah. That's a great choice. And it wasn't Captain's choice, was it, Captain?
No. I'm going to do my best Lee Corso. Not so fast there, Steve.
Come on,
Not
Captain.
so fast.
Come on, Captain. Give it to
My MVP was the offensive fucking line.
Look.
It's MVP. Tell me why.
And it was because, and I drop an F-bomb, and I apologize, because that entire group was responsible for everything that we did. They kept Carr clean aside from 1 sack. They enabled Josh Jacobs to run for everything he did. They enabled Derek Carr to throw for 2 touchdowns and all the rest of the passing yards. The defense was good, but obviously you needed offense in that game, and that offense wouldn't have gotten 0 points. Moreau wouldn't have been wide open, although that was great play calling, and I'll get to that as well. But the offensive line was the MVP of the game, and yes, I'm an offensive lineman by trade, so I had to give some love to the big uglies up front. And I will say also, in particular, Jermaine Illuminor, who came in for Colton Miller, you didn't hear too much.
No, you didn't.
You didn't hear too much from that Denver line, and he played well as a left tackle in his spot. And I thought that, and I had to look again. I saw when Mumford was playing right tackle, I'm like, oh, well, they finally decided that Mumford's going to be the right tackle. And then I looked again. I'm like, oh, wait a second. Illuminor is in there. So normally I said, okay, maybe they're playing that extra tackle set. And then I said, Miller's not in there. So Miller is not playing. And then I actually noticed Illuminor playing that left spot.
And that's a good catch.
And it was great. It was great.
Yeah. And Heidi, I'm sorry if I didn't remember. Did we go to you for your MVP of the game?
Yes, I stole the obvious one.
She did. And for me,
and I apologize.
I'm gonna once again pull a rabbit out of the hat. Patrick Graham. And I'm going to tell you why. One of the things I have been super, super critical of this defense all year long. But and the defensive play calling, as well as player selection, all the obviousness, no attempt to disguise. One of the things he did Sunday, it was so good. He, early on in the game, I don't know if you guys remember, we were blitzing. Did you see us blitzing? 4 to 5 plays we blitzed, and Russ beat them every time. Then Patrick says, and goes away from the blitz. And he goes to another package and starts rotating, and he went man. Okay, and I don't know whether people noticed that. On those Denver wide receivers, you can go man. Okay, there's nobody there that's going to do, earth shaking, beat the defense, double move, look like Devontae in that open field. There's nobody that's going to do that. He went man. He went 5 corners. He did things. He changed up situationally, and for that reason, he's my guy. He's my MVP. And now we go.
And I disagree with Ed Winchell. I'm sorry.
He said what Ed said. Matt, if the Raiders defense was a top 15 defense, I'm with you all the way. But they're so far away in so many categories, and our record reflects that.
And
but
my thought
still the O-line.
Heidi,
Go ahead, Heidi.
My thought is, how bad would they be without them?
Yeah.
And then, of course, we also can't forget the MVP for Sunday's game of Melvin Gordon.
Oh, Melvin, my man, Melvin.
And thank God the Broncos cut him after the game instead of cutting him prior to the game, which they should have done weeks ago after the game against us. So
Absolutely.
Thank you, Denver.
Oh,
Denver.
And I know that Melvin probably had a spot until he made this comment. And I quote, he says, well, it's not like we didn't recover the ball. It's unfortunate we didn't get 3 points. We still had 2 quarters left. So it wasn't the end of the world.
It is for you. Bye-bye.
That's equivalent to the Tom Cable comment. We're not losers anymore.
I mean, that has to go right up there. I mean, Heidi, you had to be shocked. I mean,
that comment is bad.
I mean, he just and Captain, you hit it on the head. He'd have been out of my building after what happened. T3, you remember the last Raider game?
Oh yeah.
Amik scoops it up. and the announcer saying, he fumbled it again. He fumbled again. I'm like, again?
Yeah.
As doing really things. Now we go on to our weekly back and forth T3 grading.
Okay.
The 4 units, and let's start right off with offense for Sunday.
Well, we're doing just for Sunday.
Just for Sunday. We did our mid-season last week.
So who are we grading first?
Offense. Raider offense.
Raider offense.
Oh, did I jump on you, T3?
No.
Surprise.
C-. I'm going to give them a C-. They still have not shown the consistency they need to. They're good at points. They can take a drive. They can drive the ball in between the 20s, just like Raiders of old, but they can't get it into the red zone. And they just cannot connect on those critical third down situations. I've been a defender of Derek Carr from the get-go, ever since 2014. But I will be one of the first ones to admit he's got a diminishing skill set. He can still make a lot of the good throws, but he's fallen into an inconsistent pattern. And I think that the team kind of buys into that fact. Even his buddy Devontae, I think Devontae knows that Derek Carr is capable of throwing the prettiest ball you've ever seen, but you can't count on that.
No.
And in the running game, the same thing. Josh Jacobs runs as hard as anybody else, but if the defense keys on that, they've got to be able to divert and go to other weapons. I just don't think they've been able to do that effectively. I think that McDaniels has handcuffed Derek in terms of his ability to check out of plays and call certain plays. I'm not sure if you all heard, but in the press conference that he gave after the game, he indicated kind of maybe slip of the tongue that he had to throw certain balls to other places. It was kind of an admission that maybe he'd like to open things up more than he could or more than he's able to.
Josh answered anytime they asked him about checkdowns. Josh's pat answer is, we prefer Derek to go to his first and second reads. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I think that when you look at last year's games, the two games after the whole Gruden and Ruggs thing went down, when they played Denver and then they played Philadelphia, Carr looked as comfortable as I've ever seen him in the offense before. And I think that they just allowed him to work the playbook and do the things that he saw. And they were getting the plays in quicker. He was able to make the reads quicker. They weren't snapping the ball with 1 second left on the clock and getting all the penalties they had the tendency to get. I just don't think he's comfortable in this offense. And I think that McDaniels is hindering him. And I don't care what anybody says. If they just gave him the playbook and said, look, whether you're back here with us or not next year, you're our guy, run the offense. Let the offense run through him.
And T3, one of the overarching things that I see about McDaniels, among many other flaws, he doesn't trust his players. I mean, it's very obvious to me. He does not trust them to perform, to rise to the occasion. He doesn't give them the tools to win. Now, Heidi, I wanted you to go to the offense and give me your grade.
Well, part of the time they were good, part of the time they were bad. But I'll go with a C- as well. Mm-hmm. The consistency isn't there. I mean, the pretty plays, they sure are beautiful. And they can come up with them, but they can't do it consistently. You never know which team is going to come out on the drive. And like one of the drives, 10 plays, 26 yards.
Yeah.
I mean, how does that happen?
Was that the one where they were like 3rd and 25 at one point? Or
there were a couple of those. There were a couple of those series where they were 3rd and over 20. And penalties contributed to that as well. 9 for 98, even though we won. Once again, a Raider team that always loves to get penalties. And now, Captain, you're great for the offense.
The great offensive lineman that I am and should be in the Hall of Fame of wannabes, I'm going to give them a B, and I'll tell you why. Of course, I'm going to tell you why. Mm-hmm. They played against the number 5 defense.
No, number 1. Right.
Okay.
Number 1, yeah.
Number 1. Mm-hmm.
I saw a stat. It was 5. So if they played against the number 1 defense, guess what? I'm going to upgrade it to an A.
Yeah.
Because if they scored points when they needed to against the number 1, and I thought it was 5, which is why I gave them a B. But if they were the number 1 defense, instead of an O, I'm giving them an A. See, that's an A. I know it's kind of like lopsided or whatnot.
That's okay.
But that's an A.
That's a captain. That's a Captain Jack A.
Because it's the captain. Hey, it's a Captain J. Hey, how you know? But no, because of who they were playing, where they were playing, how they were playing, and what ultimately happened, an A. With the upgrade that you gave what I said, number 1 defense, an A.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to likewise give them a B, mainly because I knew they were playing the number 1 defense, and I knew every single yard, every single down was going to be hard against this team. This is not a defense that even gives you that 20-20 bend but don't break. They don't even do that. Their red zone percentage is number 1. They do not give up points in the red zone. So knowing that that's our weakness, I'm like, how are we going to score today? But I saw, Captain, I'm going with you, the offensive line did the best they could. I mean, that is
How are we going to score? We cheated. We scored from outside the red zone.
That's correct. We had no choice because, and you saw what happened 1st and 7. I mean, 1st and goal at the 7. I mean, 3 straight passes. And the reason why I'm cutting that A to a B is play calling. Once again, I am not happy, and I'm sure there's lots of people that cannot be happy with the selections that they're seeing. Even though we're down 2 receivers, 2 important receivers, who, oh, by the way, McDaniels has never really integrated. We talk about the offense, not looking sharp, not being consistent, Heidi, and I agree with you, but they don't have an identity. They don't know who they are.
I'm going to rebut that, and I'll tell you why.
Go ahead.
Because it's always fun to rebut. Anyway, do it, rebut. Sexy.
Yeah, I know. No, okay. I love those words.
Yeah.
I like rebuts, and I cannot lie.
When given the opportunity, because you're talking about play calling, when given the opportunity, I recall a circle pattern from Josh Jacobs that Derek Carr threw on a dime, which got the Raiders to like the 10-yard line for the tying field goal. Because earlier in the game, he was still wide open, but he threw it to Abdullah, Inshallah, whatever, Abdullah. But he came back to it, and because he was open, and this time he hit Jacobs for like a 38-yard gain, which enabled the tie. That was play calling. Okay. And then
by the fourth quarter, yeah.
Okay.
It's not in your game plan, right?
Okay.
What game plan?
But,
go ahead.
And what happened and now how many plays did we have in overtime?
I'm not sure.
Well, it was either 2 or 3.
Oh, you liked that call to Moreau, did you?
Right.
You liked that, didn't you?
Moreau that was a great, and it was play calling, and I'll tell you why again. Because the Denver defense saw Prom going out on what would have been a trap. It's a trap. No, it wasn't. It was a trap to you, the linebacker, who followed him and made Moreau wide open on a seam pattern for a 35-yard gain.
Or it was the Denver defense recognizing that a guy who had been pass blocking didn't need to be
calling that enabled that to happen, because not only did they get suckered on that play, I give you the pistol resistance. This is it. And notice I'm throwing my French, and I actually very well intonated by myself. Yeah, I'm going to pat myself on the back. The pistol resistance is the play that won the game, right? Surtain follows Devontae Adams because he thought it was going to be a drag across the middle, and Adams jam, go.
Well, he never runs the same route twice.
But actually, he did, because if I'm not mistaken, the touchdowns were the same exact play.
I understand, but this game could have been won in regulation with good play calling. And there's a lot of things that went right in overtime. I mean, I give that to you. And the play calling, I don't know. But that's why I shaved my A to a B. Let's go right to defense, which I know you guys really enjoyed, right? We had a wonderful defensive display. And Heidi, you're great for the defense this Sunday.
I'll give them a B.
Oh, okay. And your B is not an A because?
Because they're still our defense.
She said that. And there was 369 yards of total offense given up.
Yeah. Because I never give A's.
She said I never did. Tough grader. T3.
I gave them to I think I gave it to special teams once.
Yes, you did. You
You
did.
did.
I remember it. I can go back a couple shows, but yes, I remember it.
We'll have to call out the date, but dust off the cobwebs the last time you gave an A. Yeah, that's true. I know it. T3, you're great for the defense.
I'm going to agree with Heidi and go with a B. B is above average, and they played above what they average normally during a game. So I have to give them the benefit of that doubt. But they don't get an A because they're not turning the ball over and they're not getting enough pressure on the quarterback. In my opinion, in order to get an A, you've got to have turnovers and you've got to have a lot more negative plays than you have. So again, a B is above average, which for this team I think is good. I mean, at least it's trending in the right direction. They were getting a little bit more pressure. And again, I go back to my guy Jerry Tillery on that. I think he made a big difference, whether he's a rotational piece or not going forward. And I think that helped to energize Denzel Perryman. I think it energized Clee Ferrell a lot too. Clee's actually playing much better the last couple of games. Now, whether they decide to retain him or not, I still think he's probably not going to be on the team next year. But even if he's not, I think he's showing his worth as a good rotational piece for some other team. He's playing himself into another contract for another team next year.
I'm glad of that. Captain, you're great for the defense.
I'm going to go with B.
He has to give a
Because it's like, it was, well, wait, well, I got my thing. It was B. So I go B.
You got to make a captain B though on the.
I can't make a B. I can't make a B with my hands.
What if, Captain, tell us just one little snippet that impressed you about the besides Crosby? You already know about Crosby.
Well, I think that it was the fact that they flustered Russell Wilson at the most opportune time. And I'll tell you where the game was won was when Russell Wilson on 3rd and whatever threw an incomplete pass under pressure when the schmuck should have taken a sack, which would have made the clock continue to run. The fact that he threw an incompletion at that inopportune time because the Raiders had already used 2 timeouts and they got a 3rd timeout because Russell Wilson throwing an incomplete. They had enough to go down and grab that tying field goal. And that basically was game over game 1. The defense played to the capabilities and even they flustered I don't know how many times he's been to the Pro Bowl, how many times he's been a Super Bowl champ. Well, 1 time. Or it should be 2, but we won't talk about that. Pete Carroll, running back, Marshawn Lynch. Anyway, but that they played in the spurts, especially the second half. They played above and beyond. That's why I can't give them an A because then you guys will say I'm an easy A, kind of like the chick in the movie. And I don't want to be known as an easy A by any young lady because I'm not an easy A.
Heidi's got that prize for sure. And I'm going to agree with you all this week as much as it hurts me to do it. It's a B. It's definitely a B performance. I'm going to skip over special teams and go right to coaching. And I'm going to start coaching by giving them a C. And the only reason they even get a C from me is because I thought Graham did a really wonderful job coaching on Sunday. And actually his best coaching performance of the year. And we'll go right to Captain with your
what is the category?
Coaching.
Best supporting actor in a okay. I'm sorry.
Coaching.
C. I don't know what you did because I was watching Herbert get shoved out of bounds in a replay. They did enough to win. They didn't do enough to stink to lose. So C, average, C.
T3, your grade for coaching.
C-. The players did this. The coaches didn't do this. The players the players elevated themselves. I think that what Derek Carr said in the locker room last week got through. I think the message got through, and I think the players came together and said, we need to make this thing happen. Denver's a place we can do it. I think Josh McDaniels, if you look in the locker room, he was breathing a huge sigh of relief and hugging players and thank God we won a game. It wasn't due to him, and you can say what you want about Patrick Graham, but the players had to step up and do what they needed to do. This, I sincerely believe, was on the players. I don't think that the coaches really had much to do with this in terms of the overall success. If you look at it, and I'll defend my choice there, the Raiders get the ball on their first drive, and they get to within field goal range, and they don't turn to Peggy, your MVP, Carlson, who has the range. He's demonstrated he's got the range to kick that field goal. Plus, it's in Denver in the light air. But McDaniels decides to, instead of going with his dependable field goal kicker to pull up points on the first play, decides to punt the ball away. That's excellent coaching, in my opinion.
And Heidi, I never like to leave you last, but you're great on coaching.
I'll give them a C. And that's because of Graham.
That's the only thing I can find. I can find nothing redeeming about McDaniels. Heidi, can you give us can you give us a little snippet, Heidi, about why you think they deserve a C and not a B, or they? Well, we're not going to. A is not the territory.
Because of McDaniels.
Wow.
That's why they don't deserve a B or an A. I mean, McDaniels made a few nice play calls. He did. But even a clock that's wrong.
Even a clock is right.
That stopped.
I love it.
Even a clock that stopped is right twice a day.
But even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah.
And that's all he really needed to be, was right twice, right? In overtime. He guessed twice. And I agree with you, Heidi. I mean, we'd love to give him better, but we're just not impressed. And while I'm going to pivot and swing right to
pivot.
Right. Pivot. And I'm going to swing right to your impression, everybody's impression of McDaniels mid-season. And I'm not giving grades or anything else. As a head coach, first of all, first question to everybody, is he going to be here next year? First question, Heidi, and I'm going to put it right to you. I think we've talked about this, haven't we?
We have. And that's a very difficult question. The fact is, Mark Davis can't keep paying coaches that he fires or that leave. And Mark Davis has a lot of financial worth, but he doesn't have liquid assets.
That's right.
So what is he going to do? If not McDaniels, then who? Okay, Sean Payton. I could live with that. Sean Payton is going to cost a lot of money.
Oh, big bucks.
Bar a disaster, I do see him being here next year. I can't believe I'm saying that.
No, T3, your opinion? Is he going to be here next year?
He is. And I will say this. Mark Davis has already given the vote of confidence. Remember going all the way back to Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen had 2, 4, and 12 years back to back. His first 2 years, which are not good. I think that the Raiders will win more than that this year. They just have to do 2 more in order to get to that mark. But again, what I think needs to happen is that Mark Davis needs to sit down with Josh and tell him, look, I know you have a 4-year contract, but that 4-year is going to be 2 if you don't get into the playoffs by the end of 2023. So I think he's going to shorten the leash on it a lot. So that's what should happen again, in my opinion. I'm not happy with it. I wasn't happy with the hire to begin with, but we got to give him at least 2 years to see what's going to happen, unless they end up winning only like 1 game in the first half of the year next year, in which they're going to have to cut bait. But again, I do think he's coming back next year. I think he's going to at least be able to have the opportunity opportunity to see through the 2023 year. Now, again, he and Ziegler are going to have to bring in their guys. And again, they can always use the excuse that, we didn't draft these guys. These weren't our players. We need to put our team together. And if Mark's going to let him do that, he needs to ride it out at least one more year, as much as I hate to say that. And again, we may end up having another couple of lean years. And this is counter to everything we thought of in the preseason. We thought, man, we're right on the step of not only making the playoffs again back to back, but making a deep run. And I was drinking the Kool-Aid. I really was, but
not with that defense. But
Yep.
Captain, your opinion? Will Josh be here next year?
Oh yeah, and again, it's going to be one of those things where, Mark does not have liquid. And by the way, folks, Mark is not the owner. Carol is the owner. That's great.
Education today, about
Carol is the owner.
shares of the
She
Raiders.
lets her son play with the toy, the one toy, and he gets to play with it. But the fact is that that Mark, who actually controls the purse strings, he ain't liquid. The only liquid he gets is a bad joke that I will refrain because there's ladies on board.
Mhm.
Okay. And
I've
I'm
seen
cleaning
a
that up.
bottle of tequila before. I mean, with the worm and everything.
Yeah, well, okay, we'll go with tequila.
come on now, Captain. He gets the sake at PF Chang's. Give him a break.
Right?
And I know the type of liquids he gets at Hooters, but again, that's a joke that just writes itself. Okay.
And the chicken wings.
And the
Yep.
wings. Yeah. And I got to do it while I have a segue because I was kind of alluding to it. Adams was so open. Give me the old Carson. How open
Was he?
And
Thanks,
I
Dr.
know
King.
guys want to talk about, individual plays, but I still want to get your impression of why you think McDaniel's going to be here next year.
Because
you said the money.
He can't be. They can't pay 3 coaches at once.
Right.
And Mark isn't liquid. Okay. Adams was so open that he could have had a quickie and a ham sandwich by the time the safety got over to tackle him. And I cleaned that one up for the ladies as well.
So I know he did. Let's put that right along his side of his game with 1 catch for 3 yards. But go ahead. Keep going. I'm not celebrating anything. I'm not celebrating anything happening with this team until we see the fundamental change on approach and how you build a championship team. It has to start with defense. I think, and this is just my opinion, and I want your guys' thoughts. I want you to correct me if I'm wrong out there too. I think McDaniels decided instead of improving Gruden's team, he was going to break it down and destroy it and show Mark Davis what trash he had and that his players were not as good as he thought they were, including Derek Carr, and that they needed him and Ziegler to build him a team. That's my tinfoil hat take on what happened this season with all of us thinking, oh, he just has to tinker here and tinker there and we'll be a championship team. I think he showed Mark that he didn't have a championship team.
7-2 in 1-score games last year. This year we are 1-7.
1-7. Right.
Says it all. Last year we had the breaks going for us. This year we did not.
Well, it's more than breaks. You set up your breaks.
Well, no, actually, it's karma. It's
Heidi, help me out here. Is this blind luck?
I don't say it was blind luck, but you make your opportunities, and sometimes you make your opportunities when the opportunities don't present themselves. But sometimes it is blind luck. So I'm going to say of those 9 games, at least 3 of them were blind luck. The other 6 fell as they may. Okay.
Winning teams find ways to win.
Thank you.
But
also winning teams believe they can win.
Year, but they won by the hair of their chin. Not like mine. I have
so
one.
now, Captain, what's the difference? This is my next round, shootout round to everybody. So what's different? You got basically the same personnel. You even added arguably the top wide receiver
different
in
coaching
the
staff.
NFL.
Got a
No,
different
it's
coaching
not
staff.
just that. And I want to talk about that. Let's delve deeper.
Actually, it is.
T3, help me out here.
We're gonna fight. We're gonna fight, Peggy. Because
we're gonna go deeper here. Don't tell me about luck or we made our breaks.
The staff. The players like playing for old boy that's now sitting in Indianapolis. And
well, they don't have old boy. They're grown men. Come on, stop being babies.
No. I ain't baby. There's fight work. There's fight work. And just like
not
the
babies. They know Versace is gone. That's for fans to cry and moan over. These are grown men.
The staff was a reason why the old boy that's the defensive coordinator goes to Indianapolis and he brings his boys with him.
Gus, they only knew for 1 year.
The offensive guy, they sucked, but they still kind of played for underneath him.
Olsen, are you serious?
They don't like the staff, and it's going to take a while for the people that are either buying in or leaving. And the ones that are here now that are not here next year are the ones that aren't buying into McDaniels. But McDaniels is going to be here. The people that don't buy into him are going to be gone.
Let me give a clear-cut question I asked. Besides coaching staff, let's look at the players. What's different? What's different in the chemistry? They're still got the same chemistry. I mean, they've added a few guys. Now we got Abdullah and Bolden at running back. Josh is still here. The O-line is still here. Perryman was here last year. Max was here.
Between the head.
Help me out. Am I asking a hard question? Is it something that I need to break down more? I mean, what is different about this group of players? Are they responding to the coach? I don't like this guy. What's going on?
This team has had no stability over the last 8, 9, 10 years. You know, and I'll go back to the example that I pointed out to one other show earlier, and I'm going to hit you with some facts here. I'm going to hit you with some deep facts. You know,
hit me with some deep facts.
There you go.
Fire away, hey.
Go ahead, T3.
McDaniels and Ziegler came in and everybody was talking about the Patriot way. What they should have been doing was the Vikings way. Now, let me tell you what the Vikings way is. When the Raiders played the Vikings in 2019, I know it's been 3 years.
That's a long time ago.
They put a stat up on the screen that I took a look at and I was shocked. The Minnesota Vikings, going back to over a 10-year period, in 2019, 8 of their 11 starters on defense, I remember, have been there 6 years or more.
Mm-hmm.
That stability is something you cannot coach. That stability is something that you cannot buy. You have to have it. And for teams that have it, we'll point out that the Vikings, although they haven't had, winning years every year, they had a 10-6 record. They had an 11-5 record. They had a 13-3 record. I would kill to be able to say that the Raiders can at least pull up a couple of those numbers. Now, it doesn't mean that that's going to happen every year, but now Mark Davis and Reggie McKenzie blew it when they had a chance at the very beginning of the outset when they took the team over from Al to have a defensive-centered team. And they brought in Dennis Allen, who was supposed to be a defensive-minded coach. But again, it gets down to scouting, and it gets down to being able to scout talent and get players that are going to stick there for a while, be dependable, and be all-pro caliber. They have not been able to do that. And that's what has set this organization back all these years.
Heidi, your thoughts on, besides McDaniel, with the players, what do you think is different? Why are they not winning those close games anymore?
I think it is the coaching.
Yeah.
I do. I think it's the coaching. The players don't buy into it. The players, yes, McDaniels led the locker room in a cheer on Sunday. Yes, he looked like he was, in charge of the locker room on Sunday. Well, that's what winning can do to you. Give them a victory. They can look like they all love each other. The players don't like Josh. They don't buy into what he has to say. And that's making the difference. It is in their head. It's between the ears.
And half of this roster is not going to be back next year.
And that's another fact in how hard are they going to play for this team, knowing that they're probably not going to be here. And by the way, all those people that are out there calling for Josh to be signed, I think Ziegler and McDaniel look at Josh as a draft pick catcher. Remember, the organization they're from, players, with the exception of Brady and Gronk, are disposable. They are to be used for what we can get for them. They have never shown the kind of loyalty to good players up in New England. And I think Josh is playing well. They're like, good. We could probably get a number 3, 4, 2. What can we get for Josh?
They're going to get some compensation for a first-round pick that has a career year and leaves.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to get some cap. Whatever the highest compensatory pick is, they'll get it.
Mm-hmm.
They'll get it.
And I really think that there's something to be said for showing what I believe that McDaniels did instead of what we Raider fans thought he was going to do, make a good team better. We thought instead he showed Mark. He made a believer out of Mark that the team wasn't that good. And we need to tear it down and rebuild it. And that's exactly what's going to happen. Heidi, your thoughts? Tear down and rebuild next year?
Yeah. Every coach wants their guys.
Yeah. Their guys, I've seen coaches come in and tweak and just put their guys here and there and make a good team better. But this is not what Josh intends to do. I think he tears it down. Next question out to everybody. Carr, you think he'll be here next year? Captain, I want to hear from you first.
Yeah, of course. You put me on the line. Okay,
I
am already stated in previous shows that the Raiders are going to walk away from Carr's contract based upon the fact that they will free up a whole bunch of money. No, they won't get any compensation for him. And then people are saying, like, why would you do that without getting compensation? Well, I'm going to do an amendment to what I'm going to say. They have until 3 days after the Super Bowl, which I believe is February 14th or so, or February 15th.
February 14th is a great day. A great woman was born that day.
I have no clue who you could be talking about, but I'll take a wild guess. I will say, let me see, Liza Minnelli.
But Captain, you were making your point about the Carr's contract, which
right.
by the way,
they haven't. And by the way, advanced happy birthday on Valentine's Day to you. There, I caught it.
I know it. I wasn't going to give it away.
yeah. Other than Liza, and Liza is definitely Liza with a Z. But no, this is the amendment: is that they are going to shop Carr and see if and it's got to be somebody that they trust that's not going to screw them over. But they will shop Carr and see if there's any takers, and they're going to shop them to a conference that begins with N.
Right.
They're going to shop them to a conference that begins with an N because they don't want it. They're not going to want to see them, but maybe once every 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to shop them. If they get somebody that, again, the reason why I say it's got to be somebody they trust, because you can't trade somebody until March 15th. And I read this today, which is why I'm doing the amendment. They're going to cut bait and let them go, or they're going to shop them and say, hey, on the 15th of March, we're going to trade you Derek Carr for whatever the agreement is. That's my amendment. But they're going to walk away from that contract. Amendment 2 is, and this is only because of what happened yesterday with a completion of maybe if Carr is getting it by the end of the season, and if the offense shows a drastic improvement, then you're going to be stuck with they're going to rip up they're going to rip up the contract, and they're going to redo the contract. So it's a 1+1 in that respect, so that they still retain him and they can have the right to see what he can do next year. This is if Carr gets the offense and the offense drastically improves.
That's not going to happen. That's not the plan. You don't understand.
I'm just saying,
that's not the plan.
You asked me. I gave you my. I
love it. And T3, I'm going to go right to you. And you know, Heidi, I never forget about you. But I've got to go to you, T3, about Carr. I mean, he's got a no trade clause. Does he not in his contract, T3?
He does.
And that's
so he decides where he goes.
And with his consent.
He decides where he goes. But I think when you look at the end of the year, with the diminishing skill set, with the coach he doesn't trust, with the team that is falling apart, and if he looks at it and says, you know what, I've had a nice 9-year run, I can't take this team any further than I've already taken them, I think he may just walk away. I think he may be done. I really do. I think at the end of the day, I think at the end of the season, Josh will see. Derek will see how much money the Raiders will save by moving in a different direction, which I think they do. I think they need to move in a different direction quarterback wise. I'm not saying that's the best decision, but I'm saying that if everybody reads the tea leaves the same way, I think that there's no way that he comes back next year as the quarterback. Why would you subject yourself to another year of toxicity from a fan base that half of them want to burn you at the stake, the other half don't trust you, and the other half that do trust you see a quarterback of diminishing skills? Again, I don't see him back next year. I think that they move on.
Heidi, can you help us out here? Give us some clarity on this. I mean, do we see
calling old worm?
Carr or no Carr?
No Carr in Las Vegas.
Right.
It's going to be an Uber.
Mm-hmm. What do you see? Worm. I mean, Heidi, what do you see is just how does this scenario roll out? Hypothetically, in leaving, in Carr leaving.
Hypothetically, I don't know if they would be able to trade him. Mm-hmm. Like T3 said, he has a no trade clause, so he'd have to be agreeable to it. And I also could see him just walking away and saying, it's my turn to preach. And the Lord has led me in this direction. But I could also see him going somewhere else with greener pastures and putting together a few more years. And with decent coaching, possibly even end up being a lot more successful. Mm-hmm. But I don't see Carr here next year, which I really like the guy. I don't think he has had a fair chance. Mm-hmm. Now, life isn't fair, but
what can you say?
I wish
how many coaches has he had? How many offensive coordinators has he had?
You ruin a player like that, and there's no way that any of the HOF greats went through that kind of change and could be great. There's no way. And that's what I wanted to add to that. I don't think he'll be here, but I've been begging him for 2 years to leave for his own sake. He didn't want to listen. Derek wanted to be a Raider, not realizing someone hasn't been in his ear like they were in the ear of Mack and Hudson and Cooper and all the other ones that have left Namdi before that. I mean, the Raiders eat their young. They do not take good care of their players. Their player development lacks vision. We don't know how many draft picks, Captain, you can back me up, have come in and out of here in the last 20 years that could have been good players, could have turned into excellent role players, but for the Raiders not caring about player development, bringing coaches who were teachers that could help these guys become pros. And that's what I'm looking at. Why I asked 2 years ago, Derek, you got to go. They're going to kill your career. If you stay, they will blame everything on you, as they are, and you will not have enough time in your career to really develop into the quarterback you were meant to be on another team.
And I also would like to add that my comment about him walking away and moving to the preaching profession is not in a negative way at all.
No,
I
it's not.
think that would be wonderful for
Yeah.
him.
As a matter of fact,
That's what he is going to do at some point.
Right.
as a matter of fact, I would not be surprised to see him stepping in as the role as chaplain of the Raiders organization.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he can't stay. That's just bottom line. Now, next question. I'm wheeling around again, Captain. I'm doing that pivot thing, and I'm going right to T3.
Pivot.
What happens to Devontae if
Oh,
Carr
see
leaves?
that's easy.
No, I'm going
That's
to T3 first because you insisted that T3 answer before you.
No,
and now
T3, you want me to get it, or you want to do it, bud?
You
what
take it
happens
first if you want.
to Devontae, who came here because his buddy Carr was here?
This is the Captain Jack Rackham channel, so I'm going
to no.
Yeah,
Tonight it's ladies' night. It's ladies' night, and
I'm going to give you first choice.
You're not wearing your wig, T3. You're not wearing your wig.
Yeah, I am. It's got headphones attached to it.
Oh, okay.
That's right.
Because I was asked, and see, that's easy. And I said it before as well. That was the bait and switch. They signed Carr first. And they said to Devontae, look what we did. We got your boy. We got your boy on this contract. Come over to the Raiders. And he did. And they made the money for him. And they did. But they made the contract the way they did for Derek. Derek has basically a 1+4 or 1+5 or whatever it is. Devontae doesn't have that. He's got a 4, 5 or whatever they have on that contract at what, 20, 30 million per close?
Yeah.
Right? You don't have that luxury. So it's going to be, this is what we got. Now you could be a disgruntled child like Devontae, and I
or
saw
Brandon Marshall. Go ahead.
Right. And they said that he actually did a tweet saying, I go where Derek goes, and he took it down. That's took that tweet down because he knows better. Because he knows that it's going to be up to the organization as to what they do. He's played with some guy who's won a Super Bowl out in the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. So he knows what a good quarterback will get to him. So he also knows that he's hitting like he's 29, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was
almost
29
30
this year.
Yeah, so he's hitting that mark, and he's got X amount of time left, but he also knows that things can work out in the right ways. And there's a lot of positives about playing in Vegas because it's close to his family in California, which is what he wanted as well. You put all of the positives aside, he got a chance to play with Derek, didn't work out. In the worst case scenario, if Carr leaves, he'll stick around. He'll stick around.
Give me your view. What happens to Devontae?
Oh, he's not going anywhere. He's going to be the focal piece of the. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. When they gave up the first and second round pick for him, what they did is they lengthened their leash. McDaniels and Ziegler actually added length to their leash because now they can say, nobody could have expected us to do anything in 2022 because we didn't have a first or second round draft pick. So now what they've done is they've given themselves more latitude to be able to stretch these things out as far as they can. Devontae's a professional. He's going to do what he does. He's not going anywhere. He understands, and like Jack said, he's made his money. He's in Vegas. Vegas is a great place to be.
Really
His family's closer. This place, Vegas, has the best stadium in the league. It's got the best facilities in the league. I think it's got a good fan base as well, and it's continuing to grow. But he understands that they tried to make things work with Derek, but it just didn't work out.
But I'm gonna come right back to you before I go to Heidi. Everyone knows that a wide receiver's career can be made or broken by the quarterback he plays with. Okay? Now you've got an unknown entity coming in. You've got somebody else who he's never played with, and God forbid a rookie like everybody's talking about, which you don't want me starting. But the whole point is now where he expected his career to go is not going there.
Calvin Johnson, who we should have drafted in 2007, number 1 overall, is in the Hall of Fame. He did not receive most of his passes from a Hall of Fame quarterback. Matthew Stafford is no better, in my opinion, than Derek Carr.
Same quarterback, but it was the same quarterback. The chemistry.
You're right there.
Undeniable.
You're right there.
He's the same quarterback the whole time.
You're right there. But how many times did they go to the playoffs? How many times did they have any success at all?
Who cares?
None.
But you see, now we're talking about a scenario where a top wide receiver is now experiencing a quarterback change. Not only that, he has no control of the quarterback change. What do you think?
Well, I think the quarterback change is necessary. Like I said, it's a diminishing skill set. We don't know who's going to come in. Who knows? Maybe next year, 2023, we can have Geno Smith 2.0. Who knows?
Or maybe we'll even pick up Wentz to let our young quarterback
Bite your tongue. Bite your tongue.
Hey, with this group, Heidi, and that's why I wanted to end with you. I mean, seriously, you're Devontae. You came here because your boy was here. What's your feeling he's gone?
Well, going back to what T3 was saying, Calvin Johnson also retired.
Yes, he did.
Because he couldn't get out.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
He did. He did.
But I do think Devontae's here next year, regardless of who the quarterback is. He doesn't have the freedom in his contract to be able to go anywhere else.
Bait and switch, baby. Bait and switch.
Sorry, I don't think that Ziegler and McDaniels have enough respect in their bones to be able to do him a solid and say, your boy ain't here. We are going to trade you to where you want to go. They're not men enough to do that.
So we shoulder on to next year. And now, T3, I wanted to come back to one of your specialties. And Big Worm, I see you talking about us old heads and that cars going nowhere. I can respect that. Those who think the car is actually going to stay amidst the disrespect and yet his 7th offensive coordinator. But okay. I mean, I can see that story. Tom, I wanted to swing around. People have said a lot. We've been head to head with the Denver Broncos. 71-54-2 is the head-to-head record. Right. The Bronx just can't get it done, just like we can't get it done against Kansas City. Okay? Tell us a little bit about your favorite Bronco Raider matchups, if you can bring some up. Captain, you be thinking of it too. Some of your maybe one, your favorite Bronco Denver matchup of the past.
Oh, it's a no-brainer for me. 2010, 59-14 final score.
Oh, damn it.
Josh McDaniels is on the opposing sidelines. The Raider defense is scoring touchdowns. The offense is scoring touchdowns. Darren McFadden's going crazy. We're all doing it in Mile High Stadium. It was perfect.
Oh, and absolutely that was a game. I just want to tell a story. We were with the Raiders of York, Pennsylvania, a fine booster club, been here 30 years. And the DC Raiders came up to watch the game with them. We're like, oh, ho hum, another loss, another loss. We were drinking. We weren't even paying attention to the game. And I kept hearing the screams and cries like every 5 minutes. And finally we went in to see what was going on. And there it was. We could not believe what we were seeing.
It was crazy. It was 31-0 before we knew what was happening.
I mean,
I remember that game because that was the game that they had the diamonds in the end zone.
Yeah. And
that's how I see. I ain't just blowing smoke up, like I said, or misremembering stuff. They had diamonds in the end zone, and it was like 21-0 within like the first 5 minutes.
We couldn't believe it. I mean, we were just stunned. We were sitting up there, just the whole room was actually silent because we just kept scoring and scoring, and there was going to be no end to it. And I can't even remember who the Bronco quarterback was, but
Kyle Orton
at getting sacked.
Orton
over and over and over again, and I couldn't believe what we had. I mean, we go back to looking at Denver, and I look at domination of one franchise over another. It's always made me curious. What T3 in your mind what causes this? No matter what kind of Raider team we have, Heidi. I mean, we can beat the Denver Broncos.
It's mindset. It's all the belief in the system. It's the belief in each other, and it's the ability to go out and get it done. It's a combination of everything. Now, I will say that part of the issue was the fact that they were able to overcome penalties, which is something that they haven't been able to do very often. And I will say that they only had 8 penalties in the game, because that 9th one they called on Devontae should have gone the other way. There's no reason in the world that should have been called the way it was. But again, it's a mindset. When they went in, they knew they had to win the game. They knew they could win the game, and they just went out and did it. Al Davis always said, just go out and win. It doesn't matter what you think or what you feel. You just go out and you win. Well, that's exactly what they did.
And Heidi, I mean, we can look at Sunday's game. I mean, did you see a turning point besides the what happened before halftime? Did turn the game in.
Jack's ready. Jack's chomping at the bit there.
I know he is. But did you see something that really
go for it, Jack?
Out for you?
No. She asked you. I'll do it when asked.
No, we're gonna go to you now because you teach what they say. Never volunteer, right?
No, it's never again volunteer yourself. That's the Navy acronym.
Okay. First volunteer to raise his hand. Okay, you raised your hand.
I'm doing the horse shack.
Mr. Carter.
That's right.
All right.
So give me your turning point Sunday. Give me your turning point Sunday, Captain.
I'll tell you what it was.
Or at least something that stood out in your mind.
I'll give you, and this is the truth, the God's honest truth. I'm talking with Mary Brandon, the Bronco gal I went to the game with. And it's near the end of the first half, and I'm with her, and the score is I think it was 10-7. Broncos are deep down into going for another score, and I told her, I said, Mary, I'm going to let you know something. I said, I can always tell the outcome of a Raider game usually by about midway through the second quarter. I said, the Raiders are not going to win this game. They're not going to win this game. I can just tell by the ebb and flow. And then, literally, like a minute, bless you, Gesundheit, and your hiccup, whatever you do for hiccups, because I know that was a hiccup. And literally almost 30 seconds later, somebody who shall remain nameless, although Heidi will bring him up, fumbled the ball. And right after that, they missed the kick. At that point, I went back to Mary, and I'm like, yeah, maybe we'll see about the second half. But that to me, because up to that point, the Raiders didn't really play that
Yeah.
effectively. But that to me, that was my turning point right there. Seriously.
A play, Heidi, that stood out to you Sunday?
For me, the turning point was the blocked field goal.
Yeah.
Because up to that point, it was kind of like, I'll be honest, Angry and I were watching the game, but it was kind of like, oh boy, do we have to watch another one?
I know. It was going
And-
going downhill all the way like the Colt game, right?
And yeah, and they're driving down. It's the end of the half, and it's like, okay, this is going to put a ribbon on it for them. You know, they're going to go into the half. They're going to have another score, and this is going to
And
be
you get the ball back in the second half too.
Yeah. And Max Crosby's big paw got up there and negated that attempt. And that was the turning point for me watching it. I mean, that kind of snapped me back into the game. Like, whoa, wait a second. We actually have a chance here. There's a little bit of positivity to this. And so that's why I'm gonna call that play the turning point for me.
Well, I don't have a turning point, but I'm going to tell you, watching that first time Raiders started, second tier guy, Tyler Hall, realized in the alignment that he was not only completely unblocked, but that Russ actually thought he had a pocket. And he just turns on a dime, comes right in, sacks Wilson right there. I'm like, heads up play. I need like 5 of you. You know?
Josh DeBow on Twitter, who we all know loves to hate on the Raiders, made a comment that was kind of funny, but also true. Tyler Hall in one game has as many sacks as our buddy Chandler has in 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with Chandler, except I never have confidence in 265-pound DEs. I'm sorry. I don't know why the Raiders love him so much. He don't weigh enough to me.
He can't rush off that line with those money bags. Those money bags are too heavy for him. He can't do both.
Well, of course, with them,
they're weighing him down.
And let's give a shout out, ladies and gentlemen, to the defensive line, another much maligned group for me. I mean, we had guys who we haven't heard from all year long. Suddenly, Billings, Nichols, 6 tackles, 3 solos. I mean, Billings, 7 tackles, 2 solos. We were getting play, and I didn't notice Tillery until the 4th quarter. But that's got to be the explanation. I mean, something was going on different in the middle of that Raider D line that hadn't gone on before. And when Chandler came up with no sacks off of that kind of play, then I knew, what's Chandler doing?
May I ask, who's the person you were talking about that got that sack on Wilson? Because I'd never heard of him.
Tyler Hall.
Right. And they just activated him from the practice squad or something.
What?
Yeah, he was
Tyler Hall.
Tyler Hall.
Yes, that was his name. 30. Yeah.
Again, apologies. I still have
He
not
got
seen
the
the
third
game.
sack.
Yeah.
Crosby got 2, but he got the third one.
Nobody had any idea who he was.
Yeah,
you're not the only one, Jack.
Heidi and I were talking, and when I saw him, I saw the 3 on the jersey, and I thought, oh, that's a Teamer who came in and made the sack, and I saw
No.
33, 37. Who is 37?
But
no,
see,
37 is Webb.
No, well, then
Is
I
it?
thought it was 37.
Yeah.
But
37.
It was 37. He was
30,
wearing the guy's
37,
jersey.
37 is Webb, the D-back,
Sam Webb.
right?
You talk about Sam Webb. I don't think.
Yeah,
I
Sam
think
Webb.
I thought he was a 20 number. But at any rate, we still were doing things. That's why I gave Graham my MVP. We were doing things that we have never tried before. We were actually rotating personnel. We were actually doing. They were in a 3-5-3 alignment, and our guy Hall was actually the 5th linebacker. on that particular play. Now, I had never seen the Raiders do that before. That's why he was sitting there unblocked. He was like, "Oh,
Captain.
I just looked it up.
For clarification,
Yeah,
Webb is
27, sorry.
27. Yeah.
Yeah, I just saw it. Yeah, I looked it up too.
yeah, I thought Webb was a 20 number, but I wasn't sure. But
Yeah.
I was very sure that that was a 37 of Mr. Tyler Hall."
Yeah.
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 Well, again, I heard. Yeah, I had to look it up too, T3. So thanks again. I see it.
And I really did see some things that I wanted to see from that defense all year long. And I still don't think there's enough pressure from the inside, but they certainly did a good job in jamming up that middle. I liked it. Not last question, but next to last question. We're all sitting.
This may have to be my last one, so I've got to exit. But I will stay on. I will stay on for this question.
No. This has got to be my last question.
Okay.
I've got to start asking. We have to open up the discussion about next year's draft. I only want to hear the top position at this point in time that you think the Raiders need to draft. Only one, Captain. I don't need the mock board. We're going to have a show for that. We're going to have a special show where we're going to talk about the mock draft board. But I want to know that one position. And out there with our comments, that one position we need, and I'm going to make it harder. Don't say quarterback. Forget it.
And that's.
I don't think any of us would have said that.
Well,
Yeah.
but that's the thinking out there. Besides quarterback, that one position you think we absolutely need to draft. And Heidi, I'm going to go to you first. Because I want to
Defensive tackle.
Defensive
We
tackle.
need a GT.
Badly. And now and Richie, you're right about that. We missed Mr. Phylon. He got penetration. I mean, he was getting after the quarterback. T3, that one position.
Highest rated defensive tackle or linebacker.
That's interesting. And now, what's the name of the linebacker captain that everybody's talking about? Every time I ask Raider fans who we should draft, they talk about some linebacker.
Yeah, the kid from Alabama that
Will
plays.
Anderson.
Another Alabama boy. Have y'all
Will-
not learned your
Will
lesson
Anderson.
yet?
Will
Yeah,
Anderson.
it's Will Anderson, and apparently he is the truth. He's like what Micah Parsons could be. He's like Micah Parsons is Will Anderson 2.0.
Okay.
And
I'll give you a better comparison. Will Anderson is a faster Roquan Smith.
Okay. That's interesting. Who, by the way, we just was out there in the free agent market. This is why I know what Josh and them are up to. They're not paying attention to any of that. I mean, I was surprised they picked up Tillery. Signs that you believe. But T3, you think defensive tackle captain?
I was gonna say the best edge / linebacker. Because you get that guy who plays edge and can rush and can also be the linebacker. And because I was gonna say BPA D, and you would have bitched about it. So I'm gonna put it.
What I think about BPA. I might as well get the great Preston, right?
Okay, I'm just saying that the best defensive player available at the draft, really.
No matter what position.
Yeah, no matter what.
The first round corner does not help this team.
No.
A first round cornerback or safety does not help this team.
BPA
gotta be up
front 7.
It's got to be on the
No,
front
I don't
line
even
or
want
linebacker.
7. I mean,
want
linebackers, but all I see is without a defensive line, I see 300-pound O linemen all over my linebacker.
I'm just saying, I want the best player available that's either meaty or can rush. How's that?
He said you could do your rush. We could definitely use the rush.
Right. That's why I said unless he's big and chunky and can rush from the middle, or he's speedy that can rush on the other end so we can have bookends. That's the guy I want. And if he can play like in that linebacker kind of like mold, like T was saying, like the Roquan Smith, then that's perfect in my estimation. If the big D, because there's a bunch of kids from Georgia that fit that bill. There's a bunch of kids from Florida that you can get in that
Captain,
bill.
you're gonna
I'm
love
just
some
saying.
of our guests.
I'm not
coming
doing a
on
mock.
in
You said you
December.
don't want a mock. I'm just saying defensive tackle or rush.
And you gave me that BPA thing, which is Swami stuff, with the turban and everything. But no, no. But we, Tom, I know you got to slip out. I got one more. This is now juicy gossip time.
Okay.
And I want to talk about Darren Waller.
Okay.
Will he be here next year?
Yeah, he will be. He will be. He's injured. I mean, I've
What's his injury?
I've monitored all the toxicity on social media, and in my opinion, he's handling it well. He's being a professional and doing what he needs to do. He just needs to take care of himself. I mean, Kyler Murray was out this past week with a hamstring injury. Hamstrings are tricky, and again, I think the mistake was made by the organization giving him the big bag of money rather than just saying, okay, we're going to take care of you this year and then make you prove that you're worthy of having the big extension later. That was on the organization. That wasn't on Waller. It wasn't Waller's fault that they backed the Brinks truck up and gave it to him. That wasn't his fault. I think he changed agents for that very reason, because they weren't making it happen. His agent did make it happen. But again, I think that they were in a position where they could have said, look, we'll take care of you short term. Let's get you healthy. Let's have you prove yourself, and then you can make the big bank later. So again, I don't put any of this on Waller. It's unfortunate that he is as injury prone as he is, and we're probably not going to see the best version of him that we can. But once again, he'll be back.
And Heidi, your thoughts on Waller? Is he here next year? Night, Anna.
Good night, Anna. No.
And tell us what your thoughts are.
They try to trade him.
You and I have talked about this. I mean,
I think he's checked out. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's my opinion. And like I've said, mentally, I don't think that he is where he needs to be. I think he probably needs some time away from football. And he needs to get back to his roots. Now, I don't mean that to be controversial. I'm just saying that as somebody, with a history of addictive behaviors as well.
And myself as well.
I can see that in him, and that worries me.
We know addicts. We know addicts don't have to be using, and this is the common misconception of a lot of coaches, a lot of people that are around addicts. Addicts don't have to be using to still be addicts. What did the gentleman say on the thread? The fiend behavior comes in the form of, for instance, milking an injury. Now, we might say, "Oh, you're not a doctor. You haven't seen any of his charts. He had a hamstring." Da 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 da. But when I look at it all, the way it played out, I didn't know from week to week what was wrong with him. First, it's a strained hamstring. Then it's a, Captain, go with me, partially torn. Then the story changes. It's a partially torn hamstring.
It's a torn hamstring.
Then it's a torn. But wait a minute. But I've not finished my story about fiend behavior. Then you decide to put him on IR, and if it's torn, where's the surgery? Where's the date for surgery? Why would you just put him on for 4 games? This is a man that needs surgery. If the injury is what you say it is, he's not coming back this year. Why are you teasing me about this? I mean, what's the point? What's going on?
Notice though that they did do the IR the week after it came out that it was torn.
but no surgery.
but no surgery.
It's just gonna naturally heal like Chris Webber's shoulder. I mean,
No, but he doesn't need to have a comeback date. He needs the rest.
Yeah.
He needs the rest. And that's why they IR'd him, because they didn't IR him before that, and they said it was a strain. And then the sourcing came out. And by the way, I know who the source is, but I won't say it because it was privileged. But the source came out that it was torn. It wasn't a strain, and that source said, and the Raiders are full of it because they're not telling people. And then it came out, and then right after that game, because that was the game in trying to figure out where I was at that place.
Well, and then look at the big games that he did.
I don't know, but it was. Oh, it's not. Was it no? Yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember.
You always speculate about an injury after a player has just gotten paid. Okay, it's common for fans to speculate about that. We always wish him healing, and if he needs surgery, let's get him the surgery. Okay, let's let him, out for the year. Let's give him the off season. Let him come back. But
yeah,
I'm not sure he's going to be back.
Well, but the other thing is that if you do let him rest and it heals, then if you do want to get rid of him, the people that are going to want to trade for him are going to do the physical anyway, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
yeah.
if it's healed, then they're going to say, "Oh, hamstring is good to go." So he's healed. He's back to where he could be. Then you can trade him.
Y'all getting taken on a ride. Okay.
Let him rest.
People that don't understand are getting taken for a ride, but okay, we'll let y'all be in a ride until the carriage turns into a pumpkin.
And I'll be the first one to admit that I'm wrong if I'm wrong on this. But again, I'll do it on our show, and I'll be happy to come back here and tell you all. But
congratulations, Andrew. By the way,
I have oh yeah, congratulations.
That's Doc, great guy.
That's I'll tell you, that's the testimonial right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
testimonial. But go ahead, T3. You were making a point.
I'm just saying, I have belief in Darren Waller. I think he's going to come back, and I think he's going to prove a lot of doubters wrong. And I think he's going to do the things and demonstrate some of the things that we all thought that he was capable of doing at first. I just don't think this is the offense to do it. And again, a lot of things have to change. I have faith. I do.
Well, why did Captain, go with me on this? Why did I think I had these dreams. I had a dream that Waller was McDaniel's new Gronkowski. What? Why did I think that? What was I wrong?
Because he can be that.
He's got the injury history.
Yeah.
He can be that guy if allowed to repair himself, and if given the opportunity when not injured. Like you said, he's got the injury history, right? Let me see. What's his is his number 87 too?
Yeah. Well, no.
83.
Oh, okay, yeah. Then next year, him and Foster Moreau are going to change numbers, right? Because Moreau's 87. I knew somebody good was 87.
So thanks, Bishop, for going with the ladies on this one.
Yeah, but it's like he can be. It's whether that and remember how you say that New England takes their commodities and they're disposable, or they always trade them a year early rather than a year late.
Right.
So if he is allowed to heal, and remember, he is an addict, so that's one of the reasons why they don't want to do surgery, because what comes with surgery? Drugs.
Yeah, and so it's going to be a long process. But now we're at that place, T3, and Instead of you staying 45 minutes, you stayed the whole time with us. We
I
loved it.
appreciate that.
Yay!
I would love to come back and be a part of this again. So I look forward to a return visit.
Oh, Captain, after the season is over, is a perfect time for T3 to just give us his assessment. We'll be much closer to looking at the draft. What do you think? Heidi, what do you think? I mean,
I think that's a great idea.
he's a great wrap-up guy. I mean,
Anytime
Hey,
you
Tom,
want.
we're gonna put
Tom,
a bow on the season.
in case you haven't figured it out, they run the show. Or they run the show.
Hey,
Yeah,
They run.
I'm just
thank you
here. I'm just here as a
so
guest.
much, and we appreciate it. And we have run out of time. I have run out of time too.
Thank you all, and let me be, and I'm sure you all will do this as well. But all the people that are in the chat, people that are listening to this, let me wish you all a happy Thanksgiving. All your families, Raider Nation, light it up.
And I gotta say, we do have two Bronco folks that were here with us tonight.
Well,
Richie Riche
Uh-huh.
and his boss, Mundungus Creevy, who still has the best name I've ever heard.
Well,
That's great.
They can both sit at my Thanksgiving table anytime. All are welcome, and happy Thanksgiving to each of you. T3, Heidi, Captain, have a wonderful, wonderful.
You all take care. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
All
Thank
right,
you everyone for coming.
And our Patriot, Doc Cabral, thank you, and congratulations on your soberness as well.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely, congratulations.
really wonderful work, hard work.
Happy
Thanks,
Thanksgiving,
everybody.
everyone.
Yeah.
All righty.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
All right, boy, I didn't even have to push by. So again, thank you for all. This has been Silver and Black Ladies Night. I appreciate everybody being here. Thank you to T3, Tom Jones. A great guest on the show. Of course, the ladies. Love the ladies, obviously. Peggy and Heidi. They make this show what it is. And thank you to them. We will be back tomorrow. It'll be the Wild Wild West show here on this channel, Wild Wild West, which is also on MHRT Network. MHRT Network, that's Mile High Roundtable Network. And there we go, Raiderette for Life. Thank you, honey. See, I wanted to say, this is the Silver and Black Ladies Night. Like I said, thank you for Raiderette for Life. Thank you to PSP. Thank you for Anna Diaz. Thank you for all the, Carrie Walton was in here earlier before as well. So thank you for all of the ladies that were here. Let the ladies know that this is the where to go for best Raider talk. We love to have everybody over here. So again, thank you, Raiderette. Thank you, PSP. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, every other gal that comes in. And gentlemen, thank you as well. Thank you as well for coming in. And we will see everybody tomorrow for Wild Wild West. That's at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time on this channel, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. Wild Wild West, we talk about all of the AFC West. I can't wait to talk about the Broncos-Raiders game. And then I have to dip out at 9 o'clock or a little bit before 9. I will be there at the NFL Nation Live, also 9 o'clock on this channel. It's also on NFL Nation Live channel. Come on in. We will talk about all of the games from this past week, as well as give insight into the games of next week or this weekend, beginning with the Thanksgiving Day games. So you get that Thanksgiving Day previews straight up from NFL Nation Live. And it's a great show. So thank you for all of the folks that are here. Thank you for your watching. Share it, like it, give your comments after the show, and we'll see you tomorrow. And again, thanks for what you do, Silver and Black Ladies Night here. And thanks for being on this channel. Thanks again. We'll see everybody. Take care.